Hi everyone, just here to talk about inferences today and explaining what they are, why they're useful, and giving some examples of what an inference is. So jumping straight into it, what is wrong with this sentence? Whilst driving her car on the way to the shops, Lisa called her friend and asked her how the trip to the zoo was. That's boring, and really boring. Basically, this sentence, we're just saying what Lisa is doing. We are telling the reader. It is enough to put everyone to sleep, especially the hippo. This is much better. The phone sat in her lap and she switched on her hands-free. Hey Lisa, a voice chimed over the Bluetooth. I have the most radical story about a charging elephant and some upset zookeepers. So what made the second sentence so much better than the first one? Well, if we go back to the first sentence, we can see that we're just listing what Lisa's doing. She's driving to the shops, she calls her friend and asks her how the trip was. In our second sentence, we've sort of given the readers a clue as to what has happened. We've never directly said that she went to the zoo. We never directly said that she was driving, but we gave the reader enough clues to make an informed decision or an inference as to what was going on. So an inference basically is gathering clues from the text to figure out, if a character is feeling a certain emotion or what they're doing or how they're traveling or anything really. It's a really powerful piece of writing that you can use. It is important because an inference will help the reader to visualize what is happening within a scene, and when someone visualizes it, they see it in their head and it is much more likely to be remembered and have an impact on the reader. It definitely doesn't sound like you are reading from a list anymore, and as I've said before, the scene does last longer in the reader's head and is just not so boring. Here are some examples. The ground rumbled like the stomach of a starved lion as the Richter scale started beeping. An earthquake is happening. It's a much nicer way of saying it. James looked at his wristwatch and hurried out the door. James is late or in a hurry. Sarah sighed when she opened up her test results and read them. Sarah was unhappy with how she went in the test. So in all three of these examples, we've used the character's actions, like James looking at his wristwatch or Sarah sighing, or even use descriptive language and a simile in the first example, like the stomach of a starved lion, the ground rumbling, to really simulate that feeling of an earthquake happening beneath the character's feet. So if you can identify inference really well when you're reading, you should be able to write it as well and hopefully become a lot more adept at recognizing it. So hopefully that helps you out. Don't forget to drop a like if you like the video, because that's always really helpful.